Hi folks, I hope you are well. My name is Nick, we're on the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive depending on where you are in the world, and this one is Lotus 2 RECS, published by Electronic Arts in 1993. A little bit confusing because it's a port on the Amiga game Lotus the Ultimate Challenge, which is the third in that series. On the Sega Mega Drive, this is the second in the series. You get a choice of 3 cars in this arcade racer: a Lotus Esprit, a Lotus Elan, or the concept car Lotus M200. It's got different modes to the original Lotus game on the Sega, and you've got Championship mode there, and RECS, which is a course designer. Now, these reviews are never going to be expert gameplay, but we'll just race through to see how the gameplay and sound compares. Now, we've gone on to a time trial. The first game had it was very difficult. You crashed into a couple of things and you couldn't qualify. Hopefully this is a little bit easier as we go into the desert. Okay, so engine sounds aren't as good as the Amiga version, but already it's a little bit easier to overtake than the original Lotus game on the Sega. My one complaint of that was, although it was great fun, it was too tricky. That was just time stages that went on for quite a while, and if you crashed about 2 or 3 times then you couldn't do it. This looks like it's got varying levels of difficulty, so it's easier for the newcomer. It plays quite well, it is quite fast. Doesn't seem to have the skid noises as the car goes around the corner. Maybe it's just because we're in the desert, we'll have to look there. I do miss those to a certain degree. Got a choice of music to play in each course, but I prefer the engine sounds because I think the music gets in the way of the game a little bit. Did you have this game back in the day? Let me know. So second in the series on the Sega Genesis and Mega Drive, third in the series on the Commodore Amiga. We've been having a look at a few Amiga ports on the Sega system before we go into more of the traditional games on this particular one. Hit a lot of racing games, of course the original Lotus on here, Outrun and Test Drive 2 as well if you're into that. So you know, we'll gradually go through them, and what I've seen so far, it's a cracking system, although I didn't own it back in the day. Now this is only over 3 stages, this first desert one. The stages are shorter than Lotus Turbo Challenge. Lotus 2 RECS. Now we won't go too deep into the course designer, but you can have quite a bit of fun with that. You change the percentages on the straights, the undulation of the turns, and the scattering of the objects, how many objects. It's not designing it bit by bit, it's by an algorithm. So you could have a bit of fun there, and then it'll give you the code at the end what the track is. The championship mode, which wasn't in the first game, you have to finish in the top 10 each time to qualify for the next race. And you know, this game's got medium, easy and difficult. The first game just had one mode and that was it. So it does offer you quite a few more different options. The first game was quite limited in that regard. So that's through the desert. Keep an eye on the bit at the start. Should we go for some music? Yeah, we'll go for music just to see what it's like, but it might annoy me. This is a rain stage over 3 stages, race 2 of 7. Hopefully we'll get to the end. Now, this game did bring you a few extra sections or themed stages than the first game didn't. Most notably the highway, mountains, wind, I believe, a mud stage, and also, which hopefully we hit on this, is a futuristic stage, racing in the future. Oh, nice lightning. Yeah, you might like it with the music. It does feel more of a Sega game with the music involved, but I'm just a purist. I like the engine sounds. Let me know. Now, this game is better than the first one. The car seems not quite as wide as before. Overtake is a lot easier, which makes for a more enjoyable experience. Although we're driving the traditional Lotus Esprit car here, the SE, you have got a choice of 2 other cars as well, which is nice to see. It moves very, very fast here. Frame rate's pretty good. The car seems to be overtaking me now. Only 4 seconds left. Oh, just about did that. Nice rain stage. But, you know, side by side, I do prefer the Commodore Amiga version. It seems a bit more smooth, a little bit more professional. But, you know, that is a port. And ports are always going to be compared to the original and quite often being not quite as good. The Sega's got some brilliant games on it, designed specifically for them, and I'm looking forward to hitting all those. People have already told me their favourite games on the system, which I've jotted down. If you've got a favourite, let me know, and I'll write that down and see if we come to it. It will be just me playing it as if it's the first or second time I've played it, but it's all about memories, having fun, relaxation and easing the stress there. It's just an open forum rather than one for top gaming experts. You might be a top gaming expert, but you're still welcome. So any breakdowns into big technical things and long list of stuff I'm doing wrong, I haven't really got time to read that sort of thing, because it's not really that kind of channel which most people understand. Right, here we go. Looking good through the checkpoint. There seems to be a bit of speech missing on this version that the other ones have. Like, it doesn't say it should say the word checkpoint, and the car's definitely not screeching around the corners, is it? I'm missing that big style. Yeah, the engine noises are a bit lackluster, and it's not screeching around the corners. That was a good thing of Lotus, when you heard that screeching sound, it misses that. That's just a minor quibble. Maybe they had to let a few things go for the sake of getting all the extra options in or something like that. Now this is a wind stage, so the car is getting blown a bit to the right, so I'm going to have to keep correcting that. Hopefully we can get through though. If you select the time courses, which I'm doing, you don't need to refuel the car. If you do a championship mode over a number of laps, occasionally you have to go into the pits to refuel the car or it's game over. Excellent stuff, excellent stuff. So on the Commodore Amiga, the first Lotus game was a championship, so you did have to refuel the car every now and again. The second game got rid of that completely and just had, it was easier gameplay. The car didn't sort of like stop dead when you crashed, but it was just over like checkpoints, time stages, a bit like Outrun a little bit. And then the third game, which this is replicating, brought the two back together again, so you could have a championship or a timed event. The snow was always good to come to. It doesn't quite look like snow here. It looks like blobby rain. Yeah, it's alright. It's a bit lackluster, that one. But I like the way the snow's kicking up on the back of the car. The controls are a little bit more slippery than before. Would have had a bit of fun with this back in the day on the Sega Mega Drive. But it did have, as I say, other racers more attuned to it. We reviewed Outrun, as I said. People have told me Outrun 2019, I think it's called, a futuristic Outrun, so we'll have a look at that one in due time. I'm conscious that we've reviewed quite a lot of racing games. Now, although racing games are my favourite game to play in terms of relaxation and kicking back, they're not everyone's cup of tea, so we try and mix it about a little bit. Some people like puzzle games, some people like beat-ups platforms, some people like all of them. I like all of them, but I prefer these. Turbo. Okay, so this is a few laps, this one. So it randoms up either laps where you can learn the track, or a course, stages. But you get to learn what's coming up, essentially, here. As soon as you get used to the play, you're fine. I think I'm in the groove now. There is a decelerate button, but you don't really want to use that, because you don't lose much time if you crash. You just bounce off stuff and just lose a fraction, and you'll lose a lot more if you decelerate. 72 seconds. Looking good. Looking good. Excellent stuff. What's your favourite stage on this? I found them quite frustrating. Roadwork stage was quite frustrating. The mountain stage was quite frustrating because it was quite narrow. Highway's pretty good. On the Amiga version it says yeehaw if you drive underneath a truck. Space stage is my favourite one. I don't know if it's going to round them up on this 7-day race. Or 7-stage race. Hopefully it does. So it's going to be a fairly long review this, because we're probably going to go right to the end unless I fail to qualify, but still looking healthy in the time left over. Yes. So the 3 cars to repeat you can choose from. Changes, I don't think it changes it too much. I think we're in the quickest car at the moment, so maybe it's the easiest. Is the Lotus Esprit SE, the 1989 Lotus Elan SE, and the concept car which never went into production as far as I'm aware, the Lotus M200 concept car. Lotus, it's all a big advert, wasn't it, for the Lotus Esprit brand. Excellent stuff. Yeah, I mean, if you looked at the game Outrun on the Commodore Amiga, I always wanted it to be a bit more like this. It was a conversion by US Gold. I don't know if they've got any conversion they've done on the Sega Mega Drive, but anything on the Amiga was a bit lackluster and wasn't very good. Spectrum is a bit iffy as well. I don't know what's going on with US Gold, but we'll soon find out, won't we? Really. So The Amiga version was done by Gremlin Graphics, 1992 I believe. This port is by Electronic Arts in 1993. And despite it's a different team, looking at it, they've recreated the game fairly well. There's a few nuances, there's a few differences, like the car's slightly wider, but you can tell it's a Lotus game. It plays like a Lotus game, so mission successful, I would say. Right, there is two-player mode also, but as usual, I'm the only player here. In two-player mode, it does do split screen, so one player at the top, one person at the bottom. The amount of fun I had playing that back in the day, because what would happen is you'll keep an eye on where your opponent is at the top or at the bottom. You take your eye off your own car, and when you look down again, you would have crashed or be somewhere else. It was more critical in the first Amiga game because you lost lots of time if you crashed there, and if you didn't come in the top 10, you were out. If there was two of you playing and one of you come 20th, as long as one of you finished in the top 10, you could continue on the championship. So if you weren't very good at the game, you had someone with you who was quite good, that was a bit of a bonus then. You got some more of the game than you normally would have done. Yeah, it's looking a bit easy now, this game. First game may be a bit too difficult, this one's a bit too easy, but admittedly I am on easy mode. So I wanted the review to last a bit of a distance, but maybe I could have got away with doing it on medium mode. You can change the difficulty to anything you want with a RECS system, from numbers 0 to 100 in terms of difficulty, and the computer will work it out. The console will work it out and then design your track for you. So, you know, even if you're rubbish at racing games, this one you'll probably have quite a lot of traction on by setting the skill to 0. Setting it to 100, we promise. We've got to start with 58 seconds here. On the Amiga version, it says marks, set, go. This one, that's not there. So there's a few things, there's a few bits of speech missing, which is turning it into a classic game, which once you're aware of, it does annoy you a little bit. So just to recap, the speech and also the screeching around the corners. Bearing that in mind, I doubt it says the yee-haw when you go underneath the trucks on the motorway stage. If it does, then let me know. And I don't know why every car is pink here. I had a special at Respray. They've had a special offer on pink, I think, or pink and purpley sort of colours. Anyway, it keeps life interesting here. I think this is another win stage, isn't it? Yeah, it is. I wasn't paying much attention there. The easiest stage is probably the forest woodland stage. Whoops. Okay, and the trickiest is probably, I don't know, mud stage, because that sometimes gets a bit tight. It depends how tight the corners are, really. Oh yeah, the wind is blowing me to the right. Is it? I'm not sure it is actually. Right, okay. Sound effects better on the Amiga version by quite a distance. Check out my review, although it was a long time ago on that. It's one of my favourite Amiga games of all time, Lotus. It's always going to struggle when I play it on other systems to try and beat that level of nostalgia. But despite that, it doesn't do too badly. A few niggles there, but as I say, it represents the game well. It's the nearest you're going to get on the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive. Did you have this one back in the day? If so, why did you buy it? Was it because you owned an Amiga as well? Or was it because you just liked the look of it? 27 seconds. Keep going, keep going. How long have we been playing this? We're going to be okay. I don't want to be playing this for hours, mainly because it's hard to comment for hours. But the time it takes to upload, if it takes me half a day to upload, then I can't do anything else. But we want to keep the quality there. If it's all about doing as many videos as possible, which you might see on some channels, it's put up a load of videos lasting about a minute for clickbait, which I don't want to do, because although I want the channel to survive, I want it to earn an income overall where I can do it full time. I don't want to be that at the cost of the viewer. Don't take your viewer for granted. Here we go, right? So, relaxation, easing stress. Boom, hopefully it's doing that job for you. We went over there with 2 seconds to go, so getting a little bit tight. So maybe I'm starting to run out of skills now, but we'll just keep our fingers crossed. We won't do any music. A choice of 4 tracks, a little bit stingy, but I wouldn't have used them anyway. And it's a mud stage, a little bit like the desert, but it's been reskinned a bit. Now this looks muddier than the Amiga version. This looks a bit trickier. Right, mud. Mud. Glorious mud. Nothing quite like it for cooling the blood. That's what hippos say, but there's no hippos in this. I don't know if we can take a hippo's opinion on anything. But, well, yeah, so this I remember this from before. This is quite tight. I don't know if the tracks are completely identical to the easy mode on the Amiga version. I guess there might be some differences. Graphics sure look similar, although the cars look slightly wider. Floor it! Get out the way, everyone. Murky water going through. Keep an eye on the time on the top right. I can't look at it too many times when the track's going around like this. Oh man, I'm really having to concentrate on this one. Don't run out of time. If you do run out of time, there's a bit of inertia. The car will gradually slow down. So sometimes, even though you're out of time, it can poodle over the checkpoint line. 6 seconds was that? Oh, just right. Okay, so only... yeah, that's not much. Need a bit of luck here. 10 seconds. Can't go off the track too many times here. Ooh, 4 seconds. That was very, very tight, wasn't it, that one? What's your favourite mode? Is it time trial or is it championship race? Once you get... oh, brilliant. Now the space stage, the futuristic stage, great. After a while, some people could complain this game was a bit flat once you've done all the options, but even so, I still love it, and nostalgia is a big thing. Although I don't own this particular version. I didn't own it. So, on the futuristic stage, as well as a checkered board sort of like road, there is a... when it goes orange, it's like a turbo zone. The car goes quicker than it normally would. There is an electromagno field that fires across the track every now and again. If that hits your car, it will slow you down. It's their way in the future controlling speed, I think. But you just saw a few flashes there. Need to avoid that. Because that get... oh dear. The turbo zone. If that gets us at a critical point, we're there. Right. Okay, so... that's pretty much where we are. So that's one lap done. Quite a lot of laps to do here. Should I edit it down for you, or shall we see the whole thing? I don't think a lap's going to take that long. Oh man, crash into a tree. Now this isn't reflective, I'm sure you know, of real driving, because if you're travelling at this speed and you put your Lotus into a tree at that speed, you're not going to be able to continue the race, and it's quite dubious whether you'll be able to continue your life, or you get catapulted through the windscreen and land 2 time zones away. But drive safely, folks. If you're going to drive recklessly, save it for computer games, and in particular retro ones, because they are my favourite. Can't beat a good racing game, and this is a good racing game. Whoops, oh dear. Right, come on Nick, come on. Stay with it, stay with it. No slip... oh look, I got hit by the Magno thing. So I don't... this is going to start getting tricky, I think, lap by lap. So we've got 78 seconds we did have. Each time we pass the finishing line, check how far down that has gone, because that's how well we're doing and got to compete with. So if it stays the same each time, I'm doing well. If it goes down each time, then we're in bother. It's mastering this bit and carrying the speed through the turbo zone, I think. Oh, I didn't need that. Right, so 83 that was. We went past the finish. Check that out for next time. Try and make best use of the turbo zone. Don't crash into any other cars. Oh man, that's what I got hit by that thing again. Now it's just random, those things, I believe. I'm not sure there is a timing you can try and avoid those. You either hit them or you don't. So ideally we want it to be 83 or more when I come through there. Oh come on, this is a bit of an unlucky run. Right, 83. Yeah, 75, so we're 8 seconds down, but on that rate of decline, we should still do it, shouldn't we? Just put in a few good laps here. I believe it's giving us less time each time we go past the checkpoint to do it, so we need to carry forward any advantage and not lose it. Exciting stuff, eh? Suddenly the view's got some kind of jeopardy to it. Jeopardy dog. Right. 71, so we dropped some more seconds there. But still looking okay. 71's enough. Don't get hit by these Magno things or that car. I mean, a double hit could be curtains. One hit you lose a bit of speed and you can get away with it. 2 hits, well, not great. Don't want to get hit in the turbo zone. That isn't a euphemism. 61, so the time's really going down now. 61 seconds. So quite a lot different from 83 a few laps ago. Get out of the way, you pink cars. as you often shout when you're going down the futuristic highway, I'm sure. How many laps we got to do? You can see on the red bar on the top right underneath the time, the white bits of the laps we haven't done yet. 50. Yes, it's going to get a bit tighter and tighter. Speed it. It's only going to take a few good laps not crash into anything, and we might buy some time. Remember, this is on easy mode. Difficult mode is a different story. Whoa, oh dear, that's not great. Yeah, see, that's your main advantage. Oh man, this is bad. It's put me almost to a standstill there. 31. Not looking great. I think that last run-in, I think might have ruined the whole thing. 31 seconds. Oh no, that's not helping. It's not helping at all. And this is the last stage of easy, to be honest. Nick, I'm not even going to complete easy. Oh well, let's just lie. I'm better on the Amiga version. I do it every time there. Bravo. Out of time. There we go. The finish was just down there. Game over. Okay, well, I hope you liked having a look at that one. Always fun to play the Lotus games. That was Lotus 2 RECS on the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive, published by EA in 1993. Got any comments about this game, any racing games, or anything retro, then please put your thoughts below. A huge thank you to everyone that's subscribed or given positive comments to help me keep going, produce a bit of energy. That really helps. If you haven't already and you like watching the channel, please consider subscribing, because that helps with the numbers. If you want to help a bit more, there's patreon.com/njenkin. Every bit really does help. Until next time, take great care of yourself and have very fun. Goodbye.
Goodbye.